What if I told you that the strongest flame of the Zodiac, the very spark that lights up the battlefield of life, could also be the one that trembles the most when love is shattered? What if I told you that when Aries faces heartbreak, the entire universe seems to pause, as if even the stars hold their breath to witness what comes next? Stay until the end of this journey, because what you are about to hear is not just about astrology, it is about soul, transformation, and the fire that can never be extinguished. Aries, the first sign of the Zodiac, carries the spirit of the pioneer. They are born with a burning passion that does not hesitate, that does not calculate, that does not hold back. When Aries loves, they leap with every fiber of their being, as if the universe itself had written their devotion in the language of fire. They are not the kind who love halfway. Their heart is raw, impulsive, alive with the courage of 1,000 warriors. And yet, what happens when this heart, so full of faith and certainty, is broken? What happens when the flame that once gave warmth now flickers in the wind of disappointment? This is where the mystery unfolds. Because Aries does not just experience heartbreak. They collide with it, they wrestle with it, they burn through it, until their very spirit reshapes itself into something stronger, brighter, and more fearless than before. Heartbreak for Aries is not a quiet event. It is a cosmic storm, a spiritual earthquake that shakes every corner of their inner world. Imagine the fire that once danced to bring light, now roaring with the wildness of loss. In that moment, Aries is both vulnerable and indestructible. They feel every cut deeply, but at the same time, the warrior within them refuses to surrender. Their pain is not a signal of defeat, it is the first step in their resurrection. This story is not just for the Aries themselves. It is for the souls who have loved them, for the ones who have seen their fire up close, and for the ones who wonder how such strength and such tenderness can live in the same heart. In every moment of heartbreak, Aries reveals the paradox of human love, the courage to give everything, and the faith to rebuild when it all falls apart. If you have ever felt this fire, if you have ever recognized this raw intensity within yourself, I invite you now to pause and affirm your own power. Leave a comment below with the words, "I recognize my strength." Aries in love is a force that cannot be measured by ordinary scales. This is the soul that belongs to the very first sign of the Zodiac, guided by Mars, the planet of action, fire, and raw determination. When an Aries heart decides to love, it does not hesitate, it does not calculate, it does not ask for permission. It leaps headfirst into devotion with a purity that is almost childlike, yet with an intensity that feels ancient. Their love is not lukewarm. It is a flame that demands to be seen, to be felt, and to be honored. To understand Aries in love, you must imagine a warrior stepping onto the battlefield, not for conquest, but for connection. Their loyalty is fierce, their passion undeniable, and their presence feels like standing in the very center of a bonfire. They believe in the possibility of all things. They believe that love is not meant to be ordinary, but extraordinary. That is why they give all of themselves, with no part held back, with no reservations. It is a love that is bold, wild, and unafraid. Aries teaches us that love is not only about tenderness, but also about courage. They remind us that to love is to risk, and yet they risk it anyway because their spirit knows no other way. They are pioneers in affection, just as they are pioneers in life. Their energy opens doors where none seem to exist. They inspire the ones they love to dream bigger, to live louder, and to burn brighter. This is why their love feels unforgettable, because it is not only an emotion, it is a spark that ignites transformation in everyone it touches. But here lies the paradox. The same fire that brings warmth and light can also scorch when it is misunderstood. Aries does not do well with hesitation, with half-truths, with slow games that drag on. They crave authenticity, clarity, and passion that mirrors their own. When they offer their heart, it is like a sacred gift, wrapped not in caution, but in raw honesty. And when they sense that their love is not met with the same intensity, it cuts deeply. Still, their nature is to believe, to hope, and to keep moving forward. Aries in love shows us faith in its purest form. Faith that love is worth fighting for. Faith that even if the road is difficult, the fire is strong enough to carry them through. Their love is not fragile. It is not timid. It is the type of energy that leaves an imprint on the soul of the other person. And even when heartbreak comes, as it sometimes does, the memory of Aries' love lingers, like the echo of thunder in the sky after a storm has passed. To look at Aries in love is to witness the meeting of innocence and power, the merging of vulnerability and strength. They do not separate one from the other, because in their world, true love demands both. This is why so many find themselves captivated, unable to forget, because Aries love is not just a moment in time. It is an experience that reshapes the way you see yourself, the way you see relationships, and even the way you see life itself. Heartbreak for Aries arrives like thunder on a clear day. It is sudden, it is sharp, and it shakes the very ground beneath their feet. Unlike other signs that may quietly retreat into their emotions, Aries reacts with a storm that is impossible to ignore. The shock of betrayal, of loss, or even of love fading away, feels like an arrow striking straight into their fiery core. Their natural instinct is not to hide, but to erupt, to express, to let the intensity of their feelings spill out into the world. The first wave is often anger, not because they do not care, but precisely because they cared too much. Anger for Aries is not about vengeance, it is about survival. It is the body and soul trying to process the unbearable weight of disappointment. Their fire becomes untamed, their words may strike like lightning, and their presence can suddenly feel overwhelming. Yet beneath that eruption, beneath the flames that burn so brightly, there is a profound sadness that few ever truly see. Once the initial fire settles, Aries enters a quieter, more unsettling stage. The silence that follows is not empty, it is heavy. Imagine the battlefield after the war cry has faded, the smoke rising, and the warrior standing alone. This is the second stage of Aries' heartbreak, withdrawal. In this moment, they may feel disoriented, wondering how something so strong could suddenly collapse. They turn inward, often replaying every moment, every word, every promise, searching for answers in the echoes of what once was. Yet even in this silence, the spirit of Aries does not die. Their essence is one of movement, of creation, of rebirth. They may stumble, they may fall into nights of solitude and self-questioning, but deep within, a spark remains. That spark is what sets Aries apart. It whispers to them that this pain, as unbearable as it feels, is not the end. It is a passage, a doorway to something greater. For Aries, heartbreak is both destruction and initiation. It breaks apart the illusions, it strips away the masks, and it forces them to confront the raw truth of their own heart. It is not an easy process. It never island. But through this storm, Aries is already preparing for transformation. Their spirit, though wounded, begins to remember its eternal nature. The flame may have been shaken by the winds of sorrow, but it cannot be extinguished. It is in these moments of devastation that the foundation of their rebirth is quietly being laid. There is something almost mythical in the way Aries transforms after heartbreak, and it can be best understood through the archetypes that emerge from their soul. The first archetype is the warrior without a cause. When their heart has been broken, Aries feels restless, as if the battlefield has disappeared, and they are left holding their sword with no enemy in sight. They may throw themselves into distractions, projects, or even reckless pursuits, simply to avoid the emptiness that lingers inside. This stage is raw, intense, and full of energy that seeks direction. The second archetype is the phoenix in the ashes. This is the moment when Aries, stripped of everything they thought was secure, begins to sense a deeper truth. In the middle of devastation, there is a seed of transformation waiting to awaken. They cannot remain in despair for long, because their very essence is to rise, to fight, to move forward. The ashes of their heartbreak do not smother them. They become the soil where a stronger version of themselves begins to grow. The third archetype is the lone wolf. Aries, who once thrived in giving their energy to another, learns to walk alone with a renewed sense of independence. They may seem withdrawn or distant, but this solitude is sacred. It is not about isolation. It is about forging a deeper relationship with their own spirit. In this silence, they listen to the call of their destiny, and they remember that their fire was never dependent on another person. It has always belonged to them. From these archetypes, Aries emerges changed, carrying lessons that cannot be forgotten. Heartbreak is not the end of their story. It is the chapter where they rediscover who they truly are. It is the moment when the mask of dependence falls away and their authentic power shines through with even greater intensity. When we look at the emotional phases of Aries' heartbreak, we see a journey that is not simple but profoundly transformative. The first phase is the explosion. This is when all their anger, pain, and confusion erupt like a volcano. Words may come out sharper than intended. Actions may seem impulsive, but beneath all of this is the wounded heart trying to make sense of loss. It is a storm that must be released so healing can begin. The second phase is withdrawal. After the eruption, there comes silence. Aries, who is normally vibrant and full of movement, retreats into themselves. They may avoid people, step away from familiar routines, and spend long nights in reflection. This stage is difficult for them because stillness is not natural to their spirit, yet it is necessary for healing. The third phase is reclamation. Slowly, the fire begins to return. They start to feel sparks of excitement again, glimpses of passion for life that remind them of who they are. They may seek new adventures, creative projects, or ways to channel their energy into growth. This stage is filled with renewal as they reclaim their independence and their fire. Finally, the fourth phase is transformation. This is where everything changes. Aries realizes that their heartbreak was not just pain but a sacred initiation into greater strength. They rise not as the same person who once fell in love, but as a warrior reborn, someone who has faced the flames and come back brighter. Their heart is still capable of love, but now it carries wisdom, resilience, and a new sense of purpose. These phases remind us that Aries is not broken by heartbreak. They are reshaped by it. Their journey through pain is not about defeat, but about discovering the unshakable core that has always lived inside them. It is through heartbreak that Aries becomes a living example of how even the fiercest flame, when tested, can rise higher and illuminate everything around it. When Aries goes through heartbreak, the energy that emerges is not merely emotional, it is profoundly spiritual. To them, heartbreak is not punishment, but an initiation, a doorway that forces them to see themselves beyond the illusions of romance. Spiritually, the broken heart of Aries becomes an instrument for awakening. The raw pain they feel opens a channel to higher truth, as if the universe is whispering lessons through every tear. This is not about weakness, it is about purification. It is about burning away everything that was false, so that only what is real can remain. Their connection to Mars, the planet of fire and courage, gives Aries an incredible ability to transform grief into motion. When they are wounded, their energy seeks not to collapse, but to move, to create, to build something new. Spiritually, this is the awakening of the sacred flame within them. It is as if every heartbreak reignites their inner temple, a temple where they discover independence, courage, and a renewed sense of destiny. Aries learns that even when the world takes something away, the divine never allows their flame to be extinguished. There is also a deeper energy unfolding during this process. The crown of Aries opens wider, receiving insights that were hidden before. Their heartbreak becomes a kind of spiritual map, guiding them toward new paths, new loves, and higher truths. They may even find themselves developing stronger intuition, sensing the presence of divine guidance more clearly than ever before. What once felt like the end becomes the very moment when the invisible forces of the universe begin to guide them into their rebirth. And from this sacred transformation comes the great lesson Aries offers to all who watch them rise. Aries teaches us that pain does not have to remain pain. It can be the spark that lights the way for strength, for growth, and for awakening. The way Aries moves through heartbreak shows that the soul is not defeated by loss, it is refined by it. Their journey reminds us that even the fiercest fire may flicker, but it never truly dies. They reveal that heartbreak is not only an end, but also a beginning. In their struggle, Aries shows the world that resilience is not about avoiding pain, it is about walking through it with courage. They remind us that faith can be forged in the darkest moments, and that love, once broken, can be reborn into something even stronger. To witness Aries after heartbreak is to witness the rising of a phoenix, the renewal of a warrior, and the awakening of a soul that refuses to be defeated. This is the gift Aries brings through their pain, the wisdom that no matter how devastating the loss, the inner flame is eternal. They become living proof that heartbreak is not the end of love, but the rebirth of self, and through that rebirth, they teach us all that the power of the spirit is far greater than any wound the heart may endure. The final reflection begins, not with silence, but with the echo of everything we have uncovered about Aries and their journey through heartbreak. When we look closely, we see that their pain is not a weakness, but a sacred doorway into transformation. They are living proof that even when the heart breaks into 1,000 pieces, the soul can gather those fragments, ignite them once more, and create a flame even brighter than before. Aries does not collapse forever. They stand, they fight, and they rise again, teaching us that the essence of true strength is found in vulnerability embraced with courage. For every Aries, heartbreak is both a teacher and a mirror. It teaches them that love is not about possession but about authenticity. It reveals that self-worth was never tied to another person, but is born from within, in the very core of their fiery being. When they rise from the ashes, they rise with a deeper awareness that their heart is unbreakable in spirit. The cracks left behind are not scars of defeat but lines of wisdom, reminding them that they are resilient, eternal, and destined to shine no matter how dark the night may seem. The reflection is also universal. What Aries embodies during heartbreak is not just for themselves, but for all of us who witness their journey. Their story whispers Paras souls who have felt abandoned, Paras spirits who have struggled in silence, and Paras hearts who thought they could never heal. Aries becomes the reminder that love lost does not mean love is gone. The heart continues, the fire continues, and the universe continues to offer paths of renewal. Through their journey, we are all reminded that it is never the end. It is always the beginning of something new. The closure of this story must also be an opening, a spark that calls you to remember your own flame. If you are listening now, allow these words to settle deeply. You are not defined by who walked away, by who did not stay, or by the moments that shattered you. You are defined by the eternal spirit within you, the same spirit that Aries embodies, a spirit that refuses to be extinguished. You are more than your heartbreak. You are the resurrection that comes after it, the phoenix that rises from ashes, the warrior who discovers that strength is born in the very place where pain once lived. So let this be your affirmation. The heart that breaks is the same heart that opens wider, the same heart that learns to love itself more, the same heart that awakens to the infinite power of the soul. Aries shows us that when we are tested, we are not diminished. We are purified. We are revealed. We are brought back to the truth of who we are meant to be. This is the sacred promise, hidden within every heartbreak. The gift of rebirth, the blessing of renewal, the certainty that the fire within you can never be destroyed. And as we close this reflection, carry this message with you. Your story is not finished, your flame is not gone, and your spirit is not broken. Let the journey of Aries remind you that strength is born in the most unexpected places, and that your heart is capable of rising again and again, each time stronger, each time brighter, each time closer to your true destiny. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for allowing this story to touch your soul. If these words spoke to you, let your journey continue with us. Explore more stories, more reflections, and more truths that awaken the spirit. Watch the other videos on this channel, because each one is a doorway to deeper understanding, to greater strength, and to the endless light that lives within you.